Hi, I'm firearms attorney Gilbert Ambler, and I'm back today to talk about what happens when the ATF shows up at your door. And before we dive into this subject, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead, hit that subscribe button for us. Like, comment with your thoughts, and share with your friends. That way you and your friends can keep getting this important Second Amendment related content. I'm going to split ATF arrivals at your doorstep into two categories. The first being a knock and talk situation. The second being they have showed up with a warrant. Let's start with the knock and talks, because I think a lot of people are misunderstanding in what scenarios ATF is showing up to do the knock and talks. In my experience, it's been one of two scenarios. Either your name has wound up on a shipping or distribution list as somebody who bought an item or an object that the ATF has now decided is contraband. So you bought a force reset trigger got shipped to your house. ATF had sent you a letter saying, hey, we think you're in possession of this thing. You didn't respond to the letter. They heard nothing further from you. They might show up and they might want to talk to you at that point. That's one scenario where you might see a knock and talk. The other situation is going to be multiple sale forms triggering the ATF visit. And so especially if it's multiple sale forms. A multiple sale form is generated anytime an individual, the same individual, buys two or more handguns in any 5 consecutive business days that an FFL is open. So if a gun store is open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, then if you bought a firearm on Monday and went back bought a handgun on Monday and went back that Sunday to buy a second handgun, although it's 7 days of the week apart, you're still within 5 consecutive FFL open business days. That's going to generate a multiple handgun sale report, and that report's going to go both to local law enforcement as well as to the ATF. Now, I think what the ATF thinks they're targeting is they're targeting gun trafficking, people that are buying lots of handguns and selling them. And in fact, if you live in a border state, these same requirements might apply to certain semi-automatic centerfire rifles that take detachable magazines. Again, those are just border states on the southern border that need to worry about multiple sale forms for rifles as well as handguns. For the rest of the country, we're worried about it for handguns. Again, ATF thinking that they're using this multiple sale form to find people that are in the black market of firearms, buying guns at FFLs, selling them privately. So when the ATF is showing up for those knock and talks, typically what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to see, hey, you just bought 2 guns within the past week. Do you still have both guns? Because if you don't have both guns, ATF is going to think, all right, well, obviously you are buying them for other people, you're flipping them, you're selling them. Now, my advice if ATF ever shows up for a knock and talk with you is A, you don't have to even come outside to meet them. No benefit to coming outside. B, make it very, very clear that you're not going to discuss anything about your personal life, including your firearms purchases or any other purchases that you make with the ATF unless you have a lawyer present. So, respectfully, I want to talk to a lawyer, don't want to make any statements to you. I'm not going to discuss what I have in my gun safe, not going to let you in. You're also not going to consent to any searches, and you're going to politely but forcefully end the conversation. You're going to tell them no further discussion, go back inside. That should end it if it is just a knock and talk. Now, you should get in touch with a lawyer because maybe there are some things to be concerned with if the ATF is showing up in that regard, but they should not be forcing their way in. Second situation, the advice is going to be very similar, but second situation is where ATF has shown up with a warrant. Now, why would ATF show up with a search warrant? Again, if they think you possess illegal items, or the most popular reason, and this is what wrapped up that Arkansas airport executive, is if you are selling an awful lot of guns privately. Now, again, still lawful to sell a couple firearms here and there in furtherance of your hobby. ATF would like to shut that down, so if you're buying and selling a lot of guns, that might trigger them getting a search warrant alleging that you are engaged in the business of selling firearms without a license. If ATF shows up with a search warrant, they are going to be coming in because they have the warrant that allows them to do that. You should not resist them forcibly the way the Arkansas executive did in this case because that ended tragically for him. I'd rather see you fight the ATF down the road in court, and to do that, you need to stay alive. So they show up with a search warrant. They're going to come inside. What I don't want you doing, I don't want you making any statements. I don't want you acknowledging where your gun safe is, what's in your gun safe, code, nothing like that. No statements. They're going to tell you that they're going to have to cut your gun safe open. So be it, okay? The cost of the gun safe, I'm sure you are going to be disappointed, especially if it's a nice safe. Unfortunately, your freedom is worth way more than that. So no statements, because we might want to challenge the validity of the warrant. And if you go letting them in, if you go consenting and doing things like opening safes voluntarily, you're going to be removing arguments that we might make on the legal side to say, hey, this was an invalid warrant for whatever reasons we might come up with, and they didn't consent. You voluntarily open it, we're going to be waiving that. Same thing if you start voluntarily talking. You need to invoke your rights, not waive your rights. I want to talk to a lawyer, don't want to make any other statements. This is pretty standard advice. If you've watched this channel, you've heard me give this advice in other scenarios. This is certainly true when dealing with federal law enforcement. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead, hit that like button. Until next time.